Hello there. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of All Nicked Up. It is January 21st, 2026. I wish we had more. I'm just gonna say actually funny. Quite a difference a month makes. A month ago, we would not be having this kind of show, but it's a new year. Apparently, a new Knicks and not a good version of the team anyway. So it's only going to be me and Joe tonight. So let me bring Joe in real quick. Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? Well as you can be under the circumstances as a fan, right?
Yes, personally, I'm doing okay. As a fan, I am not doing okay right now. I did not see this coming. I do want to shout out to Ty. Last week, I had to unexpectedly cancel on him at the end, and he did the show all by himself. Watched it back. He did a fantastic job. So Ty, thanks for holding us down last week, and enjoy your night tonight. Whatever you're up to, enjoy your night. We will hold it down this week for you. So that's what we do on this show. We look out for each other. We support each other. So we will hold down the fort tonight. So yes, it has not been a banner moment or banner moments this month so far for the Knicks. They've lost, I think they're two for their last 11, correct? Is that the proper
Yep,
record?
two out of the last 11.
They've won two out there, so they're 2-9 over their last 11. They have a losing record also since I believe the NBA Cup that they won. I don't know how much of it has to do with that, but we will get into it. We will see exactly. We'll break stuff down for you. But since Monday was Martin Luther King's birthday, the great Martin Luther King's birthday, I have some banners this week that are quotes of his that can apply also to this. Okay, Joe just let me know 7-11 since the Cup win. So there we go. But I have some quotes of Martin Luther King's to kind of guide us during this program. So I will use them each one. And the first one I will start with is we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools.
I like
And I
that.
feel like this applies very well to the Knicks because of what we have been hearing about them being reported in the media. We've been hearing that there's a lot of unrest in the locker room, that there are fingers being pointed at certain players, most notably, I would think Karl-Anthony Towns, who he, in my opinion, and I think it's no secret to everyone, has had the biggest regression from last year to this year with regards to his play. I think there's a bunch of reasons for that, but from what we're hearing is from in the locker room that there's a little bit of unrest in the locker room right now, and that guys are pointing fingers and people aren't doing their jobs. I know Jalen Brunson apparently called a players only meeting to discuss all of these things internally with the players. So, Joe, in relation to the quote and also in relation to what we've been hearing about going on with the Knicks internally, what's your read on that?
Okay, so unrest isn't really a surprising thing at this point. So before the show, I did a little bit of digging into the last 11 games, and I want to kind of relay some of that over. So obviously, like you said, ninth loss in 11 games. During that period, outscored by 87 points. The losses were on an average of 12 points per game. Only three of those teams that they lost to were better than seventh in their conference. I'm going to say that again. Only three of those losses were to teams that were better than seventh in their conference. So defensively, they allowed 48% from the field and 39% from the three. So that's not going to really breed a lot of happiness in the locker room. You hear it in the quotes, it's difficult. You hear stuff like, as a team, we know what we have to do. It's either we do it, we care enough to do it, or we don't.
Right.
So care has come up a couple of times in these comments. It's come up from Josh Hart. It's come up from Brunson, that particular word. And it puts a lot of focus on the coaching right now because caring really wasn't a Tibbs team problem. And don't get me wrong, I'm not longing to go back to the Tom Thibodeau regime. However, this was never really a problem. Defense was never really this bad. You know, Brunson did what leaders do. He called a team-only meeting. We can only imagine what's going on during that. But it's concerning, Eric, man. I've been watching this team, and they don't resemble New York basketball at all. They don't resemble the things that we've come to depend on from New York teams, at least in recent years, and historically what this team has been.
Sure.
It's just super concerning, man. I can't put my finger exactly on what it is. I mean, I'm sure we're going to go into a lot of reasons, and I can individually talk about our wings or Towns or some of the things that are causing problems, but I don't want to blow the show up in the first couple of minutes, you know. It's concerning. They need to figure it out. There was one comment from Brunson that was even more concerning, where he said basically, if it's going to get figured out, it's going to get figured out in the locker room. That's not exactly an endorsement of the coaching staff. So, you know, rough times, man. It's been concerning watching this team.
Yeah, and the reason I led with this quote, obviously, is to talk about how a team, when you're a team, you come together, and then you strive forward, and you win and lose. You always hear this adage: you win and lose as a team, right? Like you always say there's no one player. The NBA, there can be usually one player or two players that can make a big difference. The NBA is one sport where I think that's more important than any other, maybe except having an elite quarterback in the NFL. But I do feel like in the NBA, you can have one guy take over a game.
Yeah.
More unlike any other sport there is. So for us, those guys historically, at least in this current version of the team, have been both Brunson and then Towns. Like those are our two biggest offensive players. And while we've seen it from Brunson at times this year, he's been fantastic for a lot of games. We haven't seen it as much from Towns. Now, a big deal was made about before the season when they asked him about his role in the offense, and he said he didn't know. That was the first thing he said when he was asked about it before the season. So it started off not well, I'll say, just by him making that kind of a comment. And we definitely
in the season too.
Yeah, and we've seen flashes from good to great play from him as well this year. I'm not saying he's been a complete zero. Obviously, he hasn't, but for this team as constituted to succeed and get to where they need to go, he needs to be the all-star level player that he's been throughout his career. He just hasn't been that. No. And whether it's mental, which we've talked about, he is an emotional guy. He does seem to let those things get to him. Whether it's starting to be something physical, like he has specific ailments. We talked about, we've seen him get up from a fall and shake his knee out, or we know he had an issue with his finger in the playoffs last year. Alan Hahn recently did an article pointing out how that finger still doesn't look right. It looks like it's, disjointed a little bit. Could that be impacting his jump shot? Possibly. There are certain things that we hear about with him on both sides, mental and physical. And that impacts not only his physical game, but it plays on his brain too, because he's probably pressing a little bit, wanting to be that player and to play the way he's always played, and he physically can't do it. So there's a lot of things going on with him, but I think it's been a cumulative effect. I think he's getting a lot of the blame right now, and rightfully so. He hasn't played well. He hasn't exactly handled it the greatest either. He makes the most money on the team. He makes more than Brunson. So a lot of the focus is going to be there. We know about his theatrics and how he reacts to things, which also I don't think puts a good light on him.
Shades of Randall.
Yeah, exactly. Shades of Randall. But you also brought up the wings, who I also don't think have played their best this year.
No.
We were discussing Bridges before in our group chat, and I bring up the fact this always. I understand that's not exactly who he always has been, but I mean, I've said it in the past. The reason why he doesn't miss games is because he's not aggressive. Like, he's not an aggressive player. He doesn't attack the basket, so he doesn't put himself in harm's way. And I think it's frustrating for us to watch because he has that in him. We've seen him do it. It's frustrating for me to watch. We know he's capable of it. So he hasn't played as well defensively either. And I could say the same thing for OG, who I think offensively has looked at times this year very, very good. But I don't see that dog defense that he's been known to play. We see it in flashes, and we see it
it's inconsistent.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. I think that's probably the best term. So where do you think that's coming from? Is it the players trying to prove something, or is it the coach not holding them accountable like maybe Thibodeau did? Maybe that's the question.
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit different on these topics than I have historically. Let's address Towns first.
All right.
I think you're onto something. This is somebody that lost weight in the offseason, and he's moving poorly.
Yeah.
Now, he did have that meniscus issue and surgery, I believe, in his last year in Minnesota.
Right.
So, yes, he does not look as spry as kind of I would expect him to. And again, that affects his defense, and he's a marginal defender on his best day.
Sure.
The finger is interesting. I haven't seen Allen's workup on that yet, but my response, and maybe it's a cold response, is stop shooting threes, get down on the block, do something. And maybe that's coaching too.
Right. Yep.
You know, for whatever reason, he doesn't seem. And again, for him to say that early in the season, without games even being played, that he didn't know what his role was, is very concerning. Is there pouting going on? Like, I don't know. Is he being used properly? It doesn't look like that to me.
Right.
Moving over to the wings, OG has not been playing good offensively. Other than the game in Golden State where both him and Mikal both played well, he's been playing terribly. He's shooting like 36% from three right now, and he's jacking almost 6 of them up a game. Again, the inconsistent defense, I've seen that. And this is a guy who is a superior defender at baseline. OG is the best defender that we've had in here in a long time, right? Mikal Bridges, you brought up in the chat the free throws. It's abysmal that a player is getting a single free throw a game and that fadeaway every time that he's going into the basket. But again, I expected more from him this season. I came in, okay, we're going to spread the ball out a little bit more. We're going to be a little bit more dangerous, a little bit harder to defend. Other guys are going to get the ball. But I just have not seen what I thought was going to be a step forward from him. I've seen nothing that's resembled a step forward from him. Sure, his efficiencies are good. His field goal percentage is good. His from three, he's hitting that. But there's a lack of assertiveness on offense. That's concerning. And then you have the other wing who's not shooting particularly well, who's very assertive. I've seen too many games where our wings are shooting more than Towns. And again, for a player like Towns, what do you do when you have somebody in a funk like that? You feed him the ball. You let him work it out. You know what I mean? And again, if a shot isn't there, you figure something else out. You are looking at a multi-level scorer, somebody who could score from anywhere. So you pivot. And, I just don't know what was intended by Brown coming in has materialized. I think there have been externalities. I think that what came in as an intent became a green flag for Anunoby, whether he was hitting or not. I just don't see a team that's offensively – I don't see a lot of congruence in their offense at all.
Sure.
And I did see it early in the season, so what happened?
Right.
Like, what happened? Again, Brown said he was looking at changes. I don't, but he doesn't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater type of deal. But I don't know. There's problems, man. It's hard to kind of wrap my head around, to be honest with you, Eric.
Yeah, I agree. And what I saw, I didn't see the game on Monday. I was still in Arizona and I was out, so I didn't
miss much
on Monday. Right. But I was just looking at the box score, and I do notice that the second half they played a hell of a lot better than they played in the first half. So I'm wondering, like, what's wrong? Why are they not coming out with any kind of urgency? I feel like that's been an issue with this team since they won the cup. And it's strange to say that, but like, do they feel like they accomplished something? Because McBride actually said something like, when you're winning, he made a comment, something like, well, when you're winning, you get complacent. And I'm like, well, yes, that was a nice accomplishment, but
Whatever you want.
your owner famously went out and said, we are not hanging the banner because that is not what we consider an accomplishment. So what exactly happened? Because it has been since that, I will say this, since the second half of the Spurs game, not the game in the cup, the game after that, and they blew the lead. Either the league figured something out about them and they've just been pressing them and they haven't been able to adjust, or the Knicks' demeanor has changed, or both. Maybe it's a little of both. I don't know what it is, but it's really alarming how bad defensively they have been in this stretch. And the offense was carrying them early on, but they still played passable defense. Like they made stops when they had to get stops, and we're not seeing any of that.
No.
It's a problem forever with the Knicks giving up threes. I feel like now it's like twice as bad. I don't know where to begin when talking about the defense because there's so much that happens. But I'm going to bring another Dr. King quote in here. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And you have one link in the chain that's not playing so well, and then the rest, everything else falls apart defensively. So I don't know, and I don't know how you address that at this point. Like, these are professional basketball players. You have a scheme that you're playing both offensively and defensively. At this stage in their lives, in their careers, they should be able to understand every concept you throw at them. So I have no idea where to go on that side of the ball. But I mean, we all know that Brunson, let's be honest, is not a good defender at the point of attack. Yeah. And we know Towns is not a good defender, at least a team defender. I think one-on-one sometimes he does a good job, but team defense, he's not good at that either. So when your two best players are not good defensively, it's really hard to get everyone else really to buy in because they have to be fully bought in and applying the schemes. But I don't know what the problem is. Is it schematic? Does he need to adjust for Towns and Brunson? Maybe I should call them Browns. Yeah. We'll call them Browns. But no, what do you think they need to do on that side of the ball to make things better? Because
it's really hard to say, man, because to tell you the truth, again, I'm going to go back to those stats, 48% from the field and 39 from three. Like, if you are a team that is not functioning on all cylinders offensively, it is really hard to win games that way. But the thing is, this roster, Eric, we've both seen this roster turn in high-level defense, tenacious effort. We've seen this roster, with their defensive flaws, be stifling to teams. We've seen that. So again, are the schemes that different on defense? Are they as important on defense as they are on offense when you have a team that historically has been quite good defensively? It's hard to say. I really think there's something rotten in Denmark in that locker room. And I don't know that we have the right coach to solve that. All right, I'm going to talk about Tibbs again. Again, not wishing that he were back necessarily, but he had a lot of equity with these guys. There was a lot of respect from them to Tibbs. There was even love that they had for Tibbs, as flawed as he was. Brown hasn't earned it, maybe. And he also has a habit of turning off some of his teams. Look what happened in Sacramento. He brought them to the playoffs, the Kings, who suck for like ever. Since Chris Webber was there and Jason Williams, they suck, right? Brought them to the playoffs. They ran him out of town, I think, the next season. So is it an internal leadership thing? Does he not have the same gravitas that Tibbs had.
Yeah.
Is he changing too much? Even though he keeps on saying conceptually we're keeping in line with what we did before. Well, the results aren't there. I don't know, man. There's something that's wrong with the locker room. And we've talked about this last season too, that a concern I think we collectively had. I know Taya spoke to it. We don't have strong leadership there. We don't have a strong leadership core at the center of that locker room. I mean, great that Brunson called a meeting and everything like that, but was that meeting as similar as like if MJ was having that meeting or some of the great leaders? You know, was the message direct enough? I don't know. I'm perplexed, man. I don't get it.
And does he? And that's, to me, that's not his personality. Like, at least that's not what comes across to me, that he's a vocal, verbal leader. Josh Hart is a very vocal guy, but he is not as good a player. So I think, you know, when you're not, you can be like in hockey, the best player isn't always the captain, and the guy who's the best leader is voted as the captain. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for the Knicks, they gave it to Brunson because he's their best player, and I'm not so sure he's the best guy for the job, because I just don't see that in him. Now I could be totally wrong. Inside the locker room, he could be like totally vocal and yelling at them. I have no idea. But what he portrays in public and what we see on the court, I don't see those traits. So that's we've always questioned their leadership in the past, and I believe, and it's very fair. But to me, in the NBA, the leader has to be one of your two best players. And neither of these guys, in my opinion, are those types of guys. So
I don't think the type of guys on the roster, Eric. I can't think of anybody. I don't think Josh is really a leader either. He's outspoken.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know that. And then you got guys like OG and
Bridges,
and Brunson and Cat. These are not.
They're not.
They're good players. They're not even great players. They're not leadership types.
Yeah, it's true. And I don't know how you get, like, historically you would get a veteran, right? Like, you would get a grizzled veteran to come in and help this team and set them straight when they need that kind of leadership or talking to you. You have those kinds of guys. Who did they bring in last year and they tried to do that? Tucker, right? It was PJ Tucker. I mean, okay. Oh, you have to bring in PJ Tucker.
You could bring in Chris Paul, but it might make it worse.
Yeah, I mean that could make it worse, because Paul would demand a certain level of play from them. And at this point in his career, he doesn't have
7 minutes off the bench.
Yeah. So that's an interesting name. I had forgotten that he's even available, but that's an interesting name if he still wanted to play. That'd be someone you could bring in. But I don't know, man. It's been very alarming, like I said, since that Spurs game, just how bad they have looked, especially on defense. So I don't know what to do or where to go there. But you brought up the coach, so I'm going to bring up another Dr. King quote. Ultimately, a genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus. And I agree. I was not a huge fan of the Mike Brown hire. We went over this when they hired him. I wanted Taylor Jenkins to get the job. I thought he was the better coach for the job. I don't know if they'd be any different with him at this point. But listening to Brown in his post-game press conferences and certain things he says and kind of his just overall demeanor that he has, I don't know if it fits. I don't know if it fits this group, to your point. Like, Tibbs had a certain level of respect from them, like you said, a certain level of love that he earned. And I don't see the same thing with Brown. And he hasn't earned it yet, so maybe that's why. But I just don't. He seems too aloof at times, if that's a good term for it. Like, to your point, he says we're not going to change anything schematically, and I'm like, well, dude, you have to change something. What you're doing isn't working.
Well, they're shooting 43s a game. That's a change schematically.
Yeah, I mean, and when they're hitting them, it's great, right? When they're hitting them, they can score. Yeah, and I said that they're fun to watch when they're scoring. Like, this team has been fun to watch this year, but man, when the shots aren't falling and you're not giving the effort on defense, to me, you're right. That's a reflection of the coach. Something you're not getting that full commitment from them. And yes, these are professionals. They should have pride. All that stuff is true. They should go out, not want to get blown out by an undermanned team like Dallas, which was pathetic.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you doing to change it? You can't tell us you're not changing things schematically. You're going to mess around with the lineups. You've done that already. He's done that already. And again, I've applauded his use of the bench. I've applauded his use of the younger players. I still think they need to do that.
And that was working for a while.
Right? But even there, like Diawara, why is he not playing? Like, what do you keep going back to Yabusele, who has been garbage this year? Jordan Clarkson, we know what he is already. He doesn't get, when he's not scoring, he's a complete zero.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to you keep pushing out the same guys? You have this bench now. Play Diawara, play the younger guys. Let's see if they can inject some life into the team. Play Dadier. It can't hurt right now.
Hukporty.
Hukporty, exactly. Play these guys.
Yeah, it's not like our bench is performing well necessarily, not recently.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know what to say, but there is definitely a void to me in the leadership, whether it's the players or the coach. They're not getting it at all. And like I said, the longer this goes on, you can't get rid of all the players. And this team has high expectations for this season. I mean, they are considered the favorite in the East. Even now, Vegas has them favored in the East. Even after this recent run, they're still the team people are picking to come out of the conference. So, I mean, something has to change tonight. I mean, they play the Nets tonight. They better win this game. They lose this one. Oh boy. I don't think Brown survives, honestly. If they lose this one, I think he's getting fired. And I do. What do you think?
I think if a leadership voice is going to emerge, it has to be the coach. I think he could be that leadership point. Now, like I think they said that his comment at halftime in the last game was "Do your effing job." Now that's not leadership.
No.
You have to have a certain amount of equity people to pull that out. That's the kind of thing that isolates people. They have to believe in you for you to say that. So maybe he needs to look in the mirror. He's had a long career as a head coach. This is his fourth stop as a head coach.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, fourth stop as a head coach.
Cleveland, LA, Sacramento, yes.
There are two ways you can look at that as an accomplishment, and what I've done has got me here. Or, you know what? It hasn't worked out for me in these areas. I need to look at something different. I need to maybe change my voice. I need to adjust how I'm approaching this kind of thing. And that takes courage. It takes deep internal insight into oneself. But again, I could see in a perfect world him becoming that voice, because I don't think it's coming from elsewhere. We could go even deeper than the roster that I mentioned before. Mitch isn't a leader,
No.
Neither is McBride. Neither are any of these guys, So it's going to have to come from coaching. I just, it's really a perplexing situation, and it's ugly, and, it's got the feeling that there's rot or mold growing in this team, and it's very hard to get rid of that stuff once it starts.
Right.
So, I mean, fortunately, we have Brooklyn tonight. That should be.
Yeah, normally I would say that, but right now I'm not even sure I could feel that confident.
That hopefully that is a cure for what ails us and gets us going in the right direction, because the fans are going to turn on this team. They already did And after all of that goodwill that was built, over the years of fans seeing a successful team and how excited everybody was about winning the cup and everything like that, that's turned. They've turned on Cat. They've turned on the team right now. Cat, I don't know. Maybe he's emotionally mature enough to handle that. I mean, nothing for nothing. If you're in Minnesota and you're playing well, everyone loves you. It's a different market. He hasn't really had that happen here. So,
it is surprising to me though, with that he's from the area, so I would assume he would know, and to his to his credit, he doesn't shy away from the questions. He answers all the questions. He handles all of it as a professional. So to his credit, he handles it well, at least publicly. But as you said, internally, who knows? It doesn't appear that he is handling it well internally. So I don't know, but I do think he's become the what's it called, whipping boy for everything that's wrong with this team.
It's funny though. I think most of his stuff is external. I think, yes, there are internal things right now, but I think that there are injuries going into this, and I don't think he's maybe with the right coach. I don't think his coach really knows how to utilize someone with his skills. I'm more concerned about our wings, to be honest with you, where their heads are at.
I'm kind of the same.
I've defended them forever. I've defended the wings forever. You know that.
Right. Historically, if you look at these guys, Towns has been an elite player for a long time. And I keep saying to myself, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but eventually it'll probably click for him and he'll be okay. These other two guys, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly can't say that that's going to happen for both of them, because on one hand, I feel like, and I said this in the past, I feel like Anunoby still feels he has to prove something as an offensive player. So I feel like
there's truth to that.
Yep. And with Bridges, I honestly don't know. Ty brought this up before. This is who he's always been, and it's true. If you look at his statistics in the past, outside of his brief tenure with the Nets, he has been essentially this player, where he's not aggressive. He doesn't take the ball to the basket. Doesn't get a lot of free throws. Is passive at times on offense. Kind of gets lost in the shuffle. But the difference between him now and then, when he was in Phoenix, he always defended in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And we're just not seeing that. There are so many games I watch and he gets blown by, or he gives up on a play once it gets past him. And I don't know where that's coming from. So I'm with you. I think it's very much more the wings being the problem, but that is not what most of the fans think. Most of the fans are looking directly at Towns and saying he has to go, we have to trade him. And that's the funny thing to me, because I'm like, you don't think everyone else is watching him and seeing what's going on? Who's going to trade for him right now?
Yeah.
I don't see anyone that's going to take that contract at this point.
No.
So we're stuck with, I think we're stuck with this team. I feel like they're going to try and move him, but I don't think anyone's going to take him.
Oh, there's talk all around town, basically, that they're trying to move him.
Yep. Guys can get Giannis out of your mind. I do not see that happening this year.
Nope. That was never happening.
So everyone's saying, get me Giannis. Okay, maybe in the offseason, sure, that's possible. But I don't see it happening now. Anything they do move will be a smaller move to address, I think, the things we're talking about. Get someone in here who has some kind of big voice, who can kind of maybe inside the locker room bring things together. I famously remember, this is a different sport, but the Yankees in 2009, when they won the World Series, Alex Rodriguez was the big reason why. He had a great playoffs, but someone like Nick Swisher was the guy in the locker room who kept things loose, kept guys going. And you might need someone like that to come in who can just kind of remind them of yo, hey, we're playing basketball, guys, for millions of dollars. Let's just, let's do what we got to do our jobs, have fun.
Yeah.
And then when things get out of hand, someone who could speak up, who has the gravitas to speak up and be like, hey, screw all that. We need to, we need to take ownership of this and do what we got to do. I just don't know who that player is.
It's got to be somebody who's won. Now, the problem with a player like this, again, is because of our salary cap issues right now, you're going to be bringing somebody on a vet minimum, period. And you might have to move things to even make that happen, depending on how old they are and what the vet minimum is for their years of experience. Again, you're looking at somebody like Chris Paul. Yeah, he can come in and rattle the cage, but he also has never won a title.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somebody that's won, someone that's available, help take them to the promised land. But if you've never been to the promised land, how much weight does that carry? So it's you're looking for that salty vet, maybe on a vet minimum, who's won a title, hopefully more, and is respected around the league, to come in and go, this whole situation is ridiculous. You're being children. This is what you need to get in line, and this is how you're going to get to where you're going, and for them to listen. But who that is, I have no idea, Eric. No idea.
I'm trying to think right now. I'm looking at the league, just like each team in the league, trying to think of a guy.
Let's think of the teams that have won. All right, so you obviously have Golden State.
Yeah, but none of those guys are going to be available.
No, and they're all significant contracts.
Yep.
The Lakers did win one.
Nope. Don't see anyone from that team either. Not the Thunder. Definitely not the Nuggets.
Not Denver. No one had on Denver.
Milwaukee is the other team.
As much as I can't stand him, I still have this fantasy of LeBron next year coming on a vet minimum. But that'll never happen. Come back to win one at the Garden. But it's got to be somebody that's cool.
Say that again. No.
If he came here for the vet minimum just to win one in New York, I would welcome him open arms. As much as I kind of despise him, I would welcome him with open arms.
No, thank you. Because it wouldn't be about the Knicks. It would be about him. And I have no desire for that. None.
I get where you're coming from, but sleep on it.
No desire for him whatsoever. Yeah, like I said, all those teams that recently have won, they're still in the thick of it. So it'd be, it would be hard to pry away a player, a leadership type player from that group, from those groups.
Like, he's well retired and he's in jail right now, but a Chauncey Billups type later in his career.
Yeah, I mean, someone like that would work. But the only guy available really like that, we've already brought up, is Paul. And he hasn't won a title, but he has, obviously, he has the longevity and the stature.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, he's the only guy. That's it. So maybe they go look that direction. But, again, like to your point, I think it has to come from the coach.
The coach.
It's going to have to come from the coaching staff. And I don't know if we have that guy. That's it. I don't know if Brown is that guy.
When all else fails, fresh tactics, man.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. But I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. So there's been rumblings, and I've heard rumblings, and we'll just discuss this real quick. I've seen a lot of rumors revolving around Mitch Robinson being moved as at the trade deadline. Looking at how things are constituted now, do you think that would be a good move or a smart move?
No. Now, from a GM perspective, you're potentially going to lose because of a salary cap situation, both Mitch and Deuce, potentially. You're not signing either of them, probably. But if you're looking right now at this window like we have been, like, look, there's no Indiana, there's no Boston really right now, even though Boston's played well.
They have.
I'm not worried about Boston. This is kind of our window. In my opinion, in my strong opinion, if you lose them in free agency, you lose them in free agency. You keep them on the roster and you roll with him in the playoffs. That's the reason that they're trying to keep Mitch with all this load management stuff, which I still don't understand the rotation that they're doing right now. But you're going to need those guys if you're really going to make a dent. And I don't think, unless you get something ridiculous back, but who's going to give you something ridiculous back in a second apron era for 2 impending free agents? It's not like you're trading Deuce from 3 years ago with that great contract. So I'm afraid you have to roll with them, and then they're going to come off the Bucks at the end of the year.
And outside of Brunson, probably because he's still been fantastic and he's the same player, McBride's probably been their best player this year.
Yeah.
So, it's it's tough to get rid of someone like that, to your point, because of the window that they have to make a move.
He's the best 3-point shooter too. He's taking almost exclusively 3-point shots, but he's hitting.
Yeah. And he's also, I have noticed a little bit too that he will take some mid-range shots as well. He's kind of throwing that into the bag a little bit. So if I'm looking at both of those guys right now, I'm not, to your point, I'm not trading either of them. And then in the offseason, in the offseason, let's do this now. If they could keep one or the other, who are you keeping? They're going to pay one of those two guys.
Deuce, but it's only because of the injury history on Mitch.
Yeah.
If Mitch was dependable in that area, I would say Mitch.
Right. That's the thing. He has a skill set that not a lot of guys have.
Oh, he's superhuman, man. He needs a cape.
Yeah.
And a big M on his chest.
I know. It's crazy because people always say that, remember we've talked about this in the past, your hopes are relying on Mitch Robinson. I'm like, well, yeah, they kind of are. When he's healthy, he gives the Knicks a dimension that they don't have without him. Yeah. So he's the best offensive rebounder in the game.
Who could switch like that as a big?
I know.
Defensively, no one.
I know.
No one could switch like that as defensively as a big.
It's a wild concept to think about, again, that he's so important to them, but he is super important to what they do.
Yeah.
So I'd agree with you. Injury history aside, I would sign Mitch, but I agree. You have to keep Deuce. Deuce is a little younger too, and
it's hard from an emotional standpoint though with both of them because they're both Knicks, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like Knicks in a way that no one else on that team is a Knick. They were drafted by us. They've spent their whole career with us. They were developed here. There's a certain that means something to fans.
It does.
It does.
It does. It totally does.
I know it means a lot to you.
Yeah, it does. I've said it all the time. I say it all the time. Developing a team and building a team just based off of what free agents you can get, you're not going to win that way. You have to develop your own talent. And these are two guys, like you just pointed out, are guys that the Knicks drafted and have developed. And they have blood in the ground here. That's now they have blood in the ground here. So you want to see those guys stay with you and be here when you do finally win a championship. So it's very important. I think the Thunder have proven this. Most of their guys are homegrown guys. Yes, they traded for Shea, but you have Chet, you have Jalen Williams. The rest of the guys on that team, they're all guys who they drafted and developed. So I think that's the way to go.
That's always been something that's been a non-starter here because it's never intentionally been our plan to be bad for a couple of years, get draft picks and rebuild. Anytime that we've been bad, it's almost been by accident, and against the general plan of things.
Sure. Yeah.
They've never intentionally said, you know what, we're going to sacrifice this now for the long term. And ideally, they've done a very good job putting this team together.
They have.
Really have, considering. And I don't want to ever take that away from the front office. But I agree with you. It's a more enriching experience as a fan to have them grow up here. I'm glad these guys stayed. I wasn't fans of some of the guys that we've drafted personally, even the ones that, turned out to be decent players. But I like Mitch and Deuce a lot more than I've liked guys like RJ or Quickly because they just seem to fit the New York basketball persona or identity necessarily. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fair. That's a fair comment to make. I do wonder now, though, and I've thought about this recently, especially with this recent run, is would the Knicks be any worse off if they had kept Barrett and Quickly?
That's a question worth asking.
Yeah.
I've always been, before they even traded for Anunoby, before that was a big thing, I brought his name up, and I was a big fan of the deal. And I've been a big fan and a big supporter of him historically.
Yeah.
This year, that's been wilting, because whether you like a player or not, they're accountable. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But when you poise that right now, I may have laughed at that 6 months ago, but it's a question worth asking now. It's a question worth asking.
Yeah, I mean RJ.
Especially if you moved Randall off, if you did move Randall off, would RJ have been a better fit for the roster right now?
Correct. Right. I think those are all questions. Like, we've talked about in the past that both him and Randall were very similar in the respect of where they needed to operate on the floor. So moving on from one of them, they wound up moving on from both. But what they did in moving Barrett, and getting OG at the time, in retrospect, was the right move. And yeah, he's been for the most part, he's been very good, a very good Knick. Mm-hmm. OG has. I'm not going to argue with it. And when he's at his best, he's a difference maker.
Yeah.
Yes, especially defensively. When he's playing defense the way he's capable of, he's a difference maker.
And we've seen the offense and defense fire simultaneously, and then he becomes a really, really good player.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that they wouldn't be the same team they are had they not made the trade, had they kept those two guys. But my other question is, would they be any worse, right? Would they be worse? And I honestly think it's lateral at this point. I don't think
it's a fair question to ask, though. It's hard to speculate, but again, I'm seeing RJ a lot through the mess of what that team was, offensively, particularly.
Sure.
But maybe RJ would have been a better fit here, and that would have opened another $11-12 million in cap space.
Yeah, because they had already signed him, right? So
he was making 30. OG's making about 42.
Yeah. So,
but
yeah, I mean, he's a 20.5 rebound, 4 assist guy now for Toronto.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not like he's doing that on a bottom feeder.
No, they're right behind us in the standings.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's developed, and it's nice to see that he developed, that a player the Knicks took, even if it's not here, that he's gone on and he's been a good player. Both of them, quickly too. I mean, he's had injury problems. When he's healthy, he's been good. He's averaging 17 and 6 for them.
Mm-hmm. This is a good question to kick back to the audience to put on the fan page.
Okay.
How do you reassess the OG trade now? We
can't include Precious anymore because he
through the lens of this year only. Through the lens of this year only.
This year, yes, that's a good way to put it. So yeah, we can't include Precious. I know he just kicked our ass, like I said, but we can't include Precious in this discussion. But yeah, it's a very interesting question. And again, we are where we are. The Knicks are still favored to win the East by most people. So that's my next question to you. When do you see this turning, if you see it turning at all?
Whether it turns or not is really the big question right now, because we've been talking this entire show that there are uncertain things that need to happen in order to turn this around. Like, it's not just, we're going to scheme a little bit differently, or we're going to shake up our lineup or something like that. It's deeper than that. So Do they fix it? I want to say yeah. I hope that the situation isn't some kind of reactionary move at the deadline. I think, again, I'm suspicious that there's a move out there that makes this team structurally better. I think you got to ride with what you have, just like you said. I don't know, man. It's kind of like that well-crafted movie where you don't know really where the hell it's going or what's going to happen, but you can't take your eyes away from it.
I know it's. I didn't see this coming, to be honest.
No,
I don't think
neither
any
did I.
is kind of a stretch, right?
No.
So it's hard to even fathom that they're here right now. But I do feel like they have the pieces to fix it. I will say that.
Yeah.
I do feel like they can fix this internally without making any moves. They just need, and we've talked about this in the past, it comes back to leadership. Again, they need someone to be a leader and say,
Definitely.
follow me, essentially. So we're gonna end with this quote from Dr. King. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. And I think that is kind of what we're trying to say. This is a rough patch in the season for the Knicks. If you're struggling right now, things are harder. Things you normally do, or a lot of these guys who have been good at or great at this game for a long time, struggling at the things they do well, take it step by step, piece by piece, brick by brick, work through it, keep moving forward. And because talent-wise, this team is good enough. We know that. I think talent-wise, this team is good enough. And we are going to get there. So on that note, we can put a ribbon on this one. Get to watching the game. Just for a quick score check, the Knicks are up 17-6 right now on the Nets. So maybe this is the medicine they need at this moment. It's still very early in the game, but they're up 17-6. So hopefully this is the elixir they need, and this will be the turning point of them figuring things out and moving forward. I do know that their next stretch of games, they are playing a weaker schedule. So I think they have a chance to get fat and fix, work through their issues against these lesser teams. But I thought that against Dallas, and we saw what happened there. So, they say in football on any given Sunday, the NBA, I guess, on any given night, a bad team can beat you, a better team. But we'll see what happens going forward. So with that, we're going to put a ribbon on this one again. So for Joe, I'm Eric. You are watching All Knicked Up, and we will see you next week.